I normally record and forgot to press it. All right. Okay, so that's that. So we'll move on to this other piece of the agenda, which is very important. Let me just get through these announcements, then we're gonna move to the redistricting discussion. So, as you know, I sent out an email, maybe a couple of weeks ago to advise you of the December 11th meeting that MVP was going to have in person. I was able, and I'm sure I'm not the only chair that was able to share some of the concerns with meeting just solely in person. So they've now decided to turn that into a virtual event. So if that's going to change your answer on whether or not you can be in attendance, let me know. So I'll do a new pay count. So it'll be virtually now. I tried to ascertain the Zoom link a couple of times. I didn't get it. I wanted to try to provide it to you today, but you'll get an email from the state. I'll still send it out because I know sometimes people say that they're not getting the emails from the state. So as soon as I get that registration link, as it's been done in the past, you'll get a link. You have to register. It's not going to be like the link you receive now where you just click it. You have to sign up, register. Then in the confirmation response, it will send you the link. You also will have your vote ID. So if you have the authority to cast a vote, you'll get a number. I know when Michael Baird was in the political director position, we kept the same number. I don't know if that's going to change now that he's not there anymore. So just stay tuned for more instructions from them on, you know, whatever ID number you will need to vote if you have to vote on anything. I do know I sit on the code of conduct committee for the state, and we did finalize the draft code of conduct. So that will potentially be one item that is going to be voted on. Should it, the executive committee on the 30th, let it go forward. So any questions about those announcements?
Just one question. Other than our most recent person, Arjun Kamal, is there anyone else that hasn't been sworn in person by the state?
Yes.
Come on, who else?
So yeah, that's a question. Let me see, that would probably be Renee Varela.
Okay.
How about you?
I have not been sworn in person.
Yeah.
Who's it?
Well, I mean, it can be virtual too, sorry.
Okay.
It's gonna be virtual.
Right.
So have you didn't take the oath of office for the state yet, did you? Mark?
I think I did. Yeah, but it was virtual.
It was virtual.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Did you get your certificate afterwards?
Not sure. Have to look.
They usually give you a certificate.
No, we've been virtual. They haven't gotten anything.
No, I'm just saying, before this all happened, when you would show up in person and they swore you in, they would have a certificate already made up for you.
Mhm.
So you never got a certificate afterwards, right?
Don't believe so. No, I don't think I did.
I never received one either.
I don't think
I've
that
been around a
I've
minute.
ever
I never got
gotten
a certificate.
It's been a year.
No,
Everyone's supposed to have like
I
a
know.
17 by 14 certificate.
I know.
9 by 0.
Yeah,
Yeah, I never received one.
if you've never received
I
it,
haven't either.
and you are a full voting member, not one of the people who
I
is
haven't
associated.
received mine, and I've been here for a long time. I never
Yeah.
received mine.
Every
No.
every person is supposed to have one.
Yeah.
So can you do me a favor? Can you send me an email? Just letting me know that you didn't get one, because for those of us who have been elected multiple times, we might be up to our third, fourth, fifth, or sixth one.
Yeah, it's probably most of the folks that are filling in the form. So if you did not get sworn in on the state level and you never received your certificate, please send an email to Linda and copy the box and fill it baltimorecountycounty.com, just so I can. Okay.
So it looks like there were a lot of us were sworn in, but then we just didn't get a certificate.
Right, so
Yeah.
yeah, so just let us know which group you fall in, and you can put it in the chat, it'll be easier for email. Please. I'll do my best, but I don't wanna miss something. Thank you. All right, so as a reminder, just please let me know if you can attend the meeting, because I have to give a head count.
Okay.
All right, so that's that. We will move on to the redistricting discussion. So, lots of things are happening both on the legislative level and the county level. As you know, I did post the recording of the hearing from yesterday on the legislative side to Facebook, so if you missed that meeting, it is on Facebook. As you know, the Maryland General Assembly is gonna kick off their special session on the 6th of December, and one of their orders of business is gonna be redistricting. So, we've been receiving lots of feedback or questions from just like regular constituents, what can they do to help? And I'm, attend the meetings, attend the hearings, just make sure that you are participating in the process as much as possible. Thank you to those who showed up to the Baltimore County meeting that was held at the Randallstown, the Owens Mills Library. From what the legislators said, I think it was one of the most well attended so far. So thank you to all of those who were still able to come out.
We had a meeting last night.
Yes. And that recording is on Facebook. Another thing, I know lots of clubs are having, conversations of, meetings around redistricting. So please keep us informed if you are connected to a club so that we can get the word out, for people to just engage around this topic. I would like to see a nice showing when it's time for that to come to a committee hearing and then a vote. And I will, of course, keep you abreast of the dates that I become aware of. But is there any insight that anybody would like to provide who had a chance to maybe speak or testify at the redistricting meeting?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
As many people who attended the Owens Mills hearing realized, I testified and I presented a map that I had also presented at the Maryland Citizens Redistricting Commission hearing. And on my map, I recommended a very closely compact configuration that was within the less than 1% standard deviation, but it allowed the state to have the option to cross the bay. And that was something that the folks on the governor's side had said they absolutely positively weren't going to allow. So if anyone listened to the hearing last night, it lasted 2 hours long. Each person was only given 2 minutes to speak. And they had at least, I guess about 40, 50 speakers. And almost to the last, every person said they wanted the bay to be crossed. They said they didn't want any, just as my proposal said, they said they didn't want any part of District 1 in Baltimore County. They didn't want any part of District 1 in Harford County. And these were all people from the Eastern Shore. They don't want to be in Baltimore County. They don't want to be in Harford County. They do want the option of crossing the bay over to the Anne Arundel side, and including those other county areas that are also shore regions. And these were Democrats. And so now we've heard the same request made from an all Republican group at the governor's hearing. And we've heard the same request made from the Eastern Shore people that were all Democrats that came to the Maryland legislature. So I think at some point people are supposed to pay attention to that and give people what they asked for.
That isn't exactly the way it works. However, there are a lot of, one of which is that the person who happens to be the congressional incumbent from the first district, anti everything that's Democratic. That most of the rest of even the members of the General Assembly who are Republicans consider him an outlier. So I think that's going to figure in, but obviously none of us as individuals will have a say. The congressional maps of what will be taken up starting in December at the special session. And they even be dealing with the legislative maps until we're in the regular session.
Senator
Oh,
Kelly,
wow,
Senator
wow.
Kelly, what I submitted was both a congressional map and a legislative map. I did it using software that is nationally recognized software.
I
and
know.
put in the standard deviation.
Maps have been submitted by over 300 people.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Imaginable.
And all people have asked for is the right to have citizens. If you want to ask for citizens to submit maps, actually look at some of them. And so no one's saying that their map is the only map that should be considered, not even close to. It's just that if you want to say that this is going to be an open process and we want to invite citizens to come on either one of the processes and submit maps, at least don't disrespect the citizens by not looking at their maps. And yeah, certainly what you're saying is absolutely true. The individuals that will have a call will be the state legislators, and that'll be in January. There's a special session that's going to take place on December 6th. And you know, I'm looking forward to hearing more, but the last of the hearings is going to be on Thursday night. It's going to be up in Cecil County, and it's going to be live streamed. And that's going to be individuals' last opportunity during this part of the legislative session to or their redistricting operation.
If I could butt in and just say one other thing, the maps that were developed for the General Assembly by the governor's redistricting committee would cost us a huge fiscal note, because if you look at the way they've numbered everything, what is now District 10 is in the middle of Montgomery County, the one that would be 10. The one that is 44 is in Hartford County. In other words, everybody's stationary. We would waste millions of dollars in stationery because most people who are returning will probably have the same district number. They have put everything, even ordinary citizens would find if they thought they were in a district with a certain number where they've been for years, no matter where in that district they are, they would have a number that's, I mean, none of the numbers come anywhere close to what they are now, just the numbers. So we waste millions of dollars worth of paper and products and stationery. So I know that's one thing that is being discussed.
I'm sorry, Senator Kelly, having attended all of the meetings on both sides, I will tell you that they are not talking about people using those numbers. They did.
Oh, I know that. I was just
bringing the point up. I am not a fan at all of what the Governor's Redistricting Commission came up with. They deliberately, even though people on the commission begged them at least 8 times, they begged the consultant, please put in the numbers, the real numbers as they exist now. And he kept saying, no, I don't want to do that, because then people who are currently elected people will start saying, that's my district. And it shouldn't be based on that's your district or someone owns that slot. So he says, I refuse to put in those numbers. You can renumber them to whatever you want later, but for this purpose, he said he refused to put in the real numbers. So there's no need to change stationery because they are going to put in the regular numbers once this is over.
All right. Any other comments about redistricting? Go ahead.
Well, the 10th District Democratic Club, we had a wonderful event, which was called Redistricting 101.
Mhm.
And it was held at the Randallstown Community Center. And we were joined by Dr. Benita Tosin from NAACP. We had a gentleman who used to be with the ACLU, and we had our own Linda Dorsey Walker there as panelists. And it was a really wonderful event. Delegate Brent Brooks started off with a powerful PowerPoint that showed every district. It showed the majority, the minorities from each district throughout Baltimore County. And it was a question and answer session. And it was very enlightening. It just showed, what we're dealing with. We also talked about how things were put together in Baltimore County to make this the way it is today. It's all done on purpose. Which way they charted everything. And we had Bobby Leonard was there in our district, and those of you who may have seen some of this on Facebook, but Robbie Leonard, came up and he just really broke it down on how things was put together. And one of the things he said when he stood up was, he said, I've got a question for everybody. I want you to look around and you can see that I am the only white person in the room here. And it's because in this particular district that we're in, the 10th legislative district, it's African American. He talked about the district he lived in, which was majority white district. So, it's all designed, and I just wanted to publicly say that it was great for Robbie to stand up and talk about the reality of what's going on here and be very transparent. So I just wanted to thank Linda, Dr. Tolson, as well as Robbie Leonard for speaking up and stating the facts of where we are today. So just wanted to share that with everybody.
I would just say, however, there are some all-white precincts in the current 10th district. You get up at the northern part and Boring and places like that. So
Yeah,
it's skewed even now.
yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Also,
Go ahead, Danielle.
also, I'm just going to add to that. Thank you, Danny. That was a great report on what we did with the 10th District Club. And also, too, we had a one-on-one past some literature that I put together for us to send out and to give. And the homework was for them to share with their family, friends, and the organizations, because we take for granted and we think people know what redistricting is and what all of that means. And so I've had even calls for several individuals said, thank you, that was some good information. So if anyone is looking to get that, I could drop that into one of your emails or something, and you can share with individuals. And it breaks it down about redistricting, what it is, how it kind of ties into gerrymandering, and then also the multi-districts and the single districts, all those things. Because a lot of times we take for granted that people know what's happening, what's going on, and they don't.
Yes, and one of the things that was brought up at that particular meeting is an effort that some of us have started to not just support some of the initiatives that are underway through the NAACP, ACLU, and others to allow there to be created mathematically another opportunity for majority minority district to elect another minority. but there's also an effort called For More that would encourage the creation of 4 more county council seats. Something that has been attempted in the past before and has really started gaining a lot of momentum this time. And it would have to be done as a charter amendment. I've discussed it before. And in order for it to be a charter amendment, it would have to happen one of 2 ways. It can either be done as a recommendation of proposal by the county council, which is what happened in Montgomery County and Prince George's County when they realized their district had gotten way too large and they wanted to pare down the size and create more. Or it can be done as a referendum question, in which case 10,000 signatures would be needed for it to be entered as a ballot question on the 2022 ballot to create 4 more councilmanic seats. By adding 4 more county council seats, we would go from an average size now of 125,000 individuals per county council member down to only 78,000. The average county council seat in the United States is approximately 75,000. Not only have we had our current configuration of 7 districts in place for 66 years without any change. If we were to change it at this point during this redistricting cycle and have it added onto the ballot, and it would become effective for the first time with the general election of 2026, it would mean that we would have growing space for decades to come. We would probably never go back up to 125,000 person districts again. It's just the right thing to do. It will improve governance in Baltimore County. It will allow more opportunity for more women to be elected, more minorities to be represented. Some of the initiatives created by some of the young people here in Baltimore County to lower the age of serving on the county council down to 21, that was done recently. It would give them the opportunity to also get their foot in the door. It's just needed at this time to make our government more represented, guarantee more closer representation by each county council person. So you'll be hearing more about it, and hopefully you will be supportive, as many organizations already have stated they plan to be.
All right. So we'll move to the subcommittee reports.
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm
My
sorry.
hand I'm sorry. I have a lot to report on this.
Oh, go ahead.
Who's that?
Go ahead,
And
Aaron.
George,
Okay.
Yes, am I on mute?
somebody just got me on FaceTime. How's that? Anyway, hang on a minute. Let me get back to Zoom. Gosh, are you still hearing me?
Yes,
Sure.
Yes.
You see me?
yes.
I don't see you. Oh, here we go. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm back. Let me lower my hand. I have met, first of all, there's a group that started and pardon me, but Mr. Carlson is a part of it, that has been working with the county council. And in the last 10 days, we've had 3 meetings with 3 council members about this. We're about an hour and a half with Councilman Jones. We met with, and that was just happened, a coincidental thing at one of the club meetings. And also with Wade Catch and with Izzy Patoka. And we've reached out and sent requests to meet with the other 5 councilmen. And we took with us people who are constituents, 2 or 3 in some cases, constituents, to just find out where they are and what's going on and how we, where things stand. Things are developing as we speak. I just posted in the chat two things. One is a bit.ly link to the, it's called the Coalition for Fair Maps in Baltimore County. And the other is a newspaper article, which I haven't even read yet, about where the things stand right now by the Baltimore Sun by Taylor DeVille. And the maps that last night, was anybody at the county council meeting last night? No, okay. So I know that the maps, they, at the last minute, and we were kind of suspecting this would happen, they submitted a bill with, for another try at the maps. And I haven't even seen it yet. It didn't drop into reality into where it was published on the website until the end of the day. And I've been in meetings ever since then. But evidently, it keeps Towson intact. It makes one majority Black district, which is 4, with over 72% of the population there being Black, and we believe that's a voting age. I'm not sure yet. And another minority majority, but mixed, not just Black, and that would be 1. I don't have any comment on the maps yet. I encourage you to look at them. But what I do ask you to do is a couple of things, 2 things. One, we need people to visit with Councilman Quirk, with Councilwoman Bevins, Crandall, and Marks. And also we'd like to meet again with Councilman Jones. And kind of keep the pressure up on them, because what we're having in 4 is stacking of minorities in that district. And we really feel that it's possible to have 3 majority minority groups, districts. And right now we've got 1 that's Black and 1 is, this business of putting this off, that eventually it's going to happen of its own, I think this is something we need to do right now. And there's a lot of support for it. If you go to the bit.ly thing, you'll see that 12 organizations have signed on and are speaking in one voice as the coalition. And that includes the Randallstown NAACP, ACLU, NAACP of Baltimore County, one of the unions, Progressive Democrats, it's another one. And I'm just wondering if this group shouldn't sign on. We are the representatives of Democrats in this area in Baltimore County. Why can't we sign on as the central committee that supports this? But I think it's something that's got to be voted on and looked at, and to see if there's any support for that. This is our opportunity. This is what democracy looks like. We can speak for the Democrats in our areas, and we can also encourage some of our Democratic constituents to let their voice be heard. What do you want? You are empowered. I look at this central committee and I see great diversity. I see diversity in religion. I see diversity in color. I see diversity in ethnicity. Our county council should look more like that. And there's no saying, yes, it's guaranteed we're going to get 3 African Americans and 1 Asian and whatever, but it just encouraging it. This is a statement. We have an opportunity to speak here. And if we just sit silent, it's not going to happen. They're going to do what they want to do. And quite frankly, that's gerrymandering. And it's gerrymandering by Democrats, which is just as bad as gerrymandering by Republicans. I just ask you to it's so difficult right now because there's so much going on, I know, with the state redistricting and the congressional, and all that. But We need you right now. The coalition needs you to be willing to, if you would just drop in the chat, I've been willing to go in and meet with my congressman, or my councilman, and just listen and let them know we're watching them. We want to hear what they're doing. Evidently, from what I've gotten from the 3 meetings that I've had with Councilman Jones, Catch, and Izzy Patoka, they're not talking to each other much about this. Somebody is going on and meeting with somebody and presenting things to them. And I'll tell you, I'm not real impressed with a sense of courage and forthrightness from any of these councilmen and women.
If I
So,
could,
pardon?
no, I thought you were done. I was going to say something.
I'm finished. If you would just tell me, yes, I'll meet, can I get you on a list? And when they say, I've sent them another reminder, we've given them until Friday. Last week, I invited them. I haven't heard from some of them yet. So I sent them another reminder and said, they have until Friday. If we don't hear from them, we'll consider that a pass. But when constituents request to see their councilman, they should be responsive. But I'm hearing from a number of people that have been asking about other things in the past, and they don't hear anything from their council person. And that's a constituent service is a part of their duty.
One big problem that I have noticed in the 26 years that I've been an elected official in Baltimore County is that largely the council members depend on developers to give them the major funding for their campaigns. They don't look to rank and file citizens. And most of those developers, for some reason, tend to live in Anne Arundel. So they have no interest in how we feel about the roads and the bridges and the lack of broadband or whatever it is we need right here in Baltimore County. I won't say more about it, but that's something we've got to do something about because that's what has been happening.
I think you're right in terms of the developers' money. And that's why I was so heartened to see County Executive Chesky's, the thing with the fair financing of and public financing of campaigns. That is definitely going to enable some of the people that aren't well connected and wealthy to run for county council, for whatever, delegate. So, and I really, Senator Kelly, I have so much respect for you and the leadership you've provided, not just to our county, but to our state. And any guidance you can give us in this, it would be appreciated.
Well, I wanted to say, I totally agree with what you're saying, and
Danielle, hold on.
oh, I'm sorry.
Time in the room. Danny, did you have something?
Well, it's a tough job. It's a tough job for, speaking with Julian Jones, who is my councilman, in depth. He knows our feelings about this. He knows what's going on. I mean, some of the things that's proposed is to get back, 44B, to get that back from Quirk and all these kind of different scenarios that are out there. But you gotta get the votes. You gotta get the votes on the council to move anything, to get anything done. And that's a tough job to get these folks to agree. I really believe that with all of the discussions that have been taking place about the dissatisfaction with those maps from the county commission on the redistricting, that they know how we feel. Definitely know how everyone feels in Baltimore County that had attended those meetings and voiced their opinions. But still, they're gonna have to come together and agree and try to get everyone in all these different districts to agree, to work together and get a piece here, get a piece there. But as it stands right now, the biggest thing you have to do is try to get the votes to make it happen. So they have issues internally on the council that they have to deal with, and they have to deal with the constituents as well. So
And
that's where it is.
Yeah, and I know your hand's not raised, but I know Mark, I know Southwest is working on something as well with redistricting. I just wanted to see, did you wanna, make an announcement about what y'all are doing?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we are we are organizing a meeting for the 29th of November, Monday. I'll try to send a link that can be spread around, so y'all can come if you like. We're going to try to touch on, I see it as a three-part problem: county, state legislature, and then the congressional maps. They're all a little different. Obviously, the county is its own thing. But mainly, I just want to alert, our members to what's going on. That's usually what we're doing in our meetings, is informing our members. So it's going to be a lot to cover. And I'm glad to hear any suggestions anyone has. I've spoken to Ann already, and some other people, so the Fair Maps people will be represented. Senator Lamb and Senator Sidnor have agreed to speak. So we're just kind of trying to putting it all together at this point, because this whole thing is in process, obviously. I'm worried about and I know, Linda, you've been on this for a while, the process by which the lawsuit, it's going to end up in the court, and that's trouble.
Yeah.
And so that's my biggest worry, is that it'll be basically taken out of our hands. So I'm kind of wrestling with that in my mind and trying to basically inform our people. Anyway, that's Monday, November 29th in the evening. And it'd be great if any of you would like to come.
Yeah, and is that gonna be at 7?
Yes, ma'am, 7:00.
Just one thing though, that's why I've been saying for months now that, because I'm very sure that this whole thing is going to end up in court, because as more than one of them have already told me, no one sees turf without a fight. That doesn't always have to be the case, because in Montgomery County, they showed the maturity of saying, our districts are too large, we're going to pare them down, we're going to increase our size. Same thing in Prince George's County. We could do the same thing in Baltimore County, but no one wants to give. So the only way that we can take this out of their hands without having to go to court, if the whole minority additional 1 or 2 districts does not happen, then we have to be prepared to go the referendum route starting in January. And then we'll have a period of about 3 or 4 months to collect the names, and then it will be on the ballot, and it won't be up to them or anyone else but the public to decide whether they want to continue being one of 125,000 or only one of 78,000.
I will say I went to court and spent $14,000 4 years ago, trying to deal with what I saw as inequities on the West Side. Really, the courts on a nationwide basis do very little about giving relief on redistricting, because the Constitution treats it as something that the public is responsible for, not the courts. They do very little regarding redistricting. I'm not sure we're going to get a lot of relief from the courts.
I don't think it will be necessary to go to court. I've spoken to several councilmen, and they are in favor of increasing at least by 2. I think, and maybe by another 2 at large, but 2 more districts, both Catch and Patoka, are also, well, not everybody feels that way, Linda. That's, but, and if we can get 9, and as a matter of fact, there is some thought, which is possible, that when the legislation goes in for the new districting, that there can be a companion resolution that with the agreement that when the, eventually, we would have another 2 districts. That, I've got 2 councilmen, and it would be bipartisan, saying that that is a possibility.
Well, see,
I think it's just a matter of, I don't think we're gonna have to go to collecting 10,000
the
signatures.
reason that 2 is not sufficient is because we would still have overwhelmingly huge districts, way out of proportion to the national average. And it will not recognize the various constituency groups that have moved in the last 66 years. The South Asians have a right to feel they should have representation. Latinos, there is 10% of the population are disabled people. LGBTQ, young people. Only 1 of our county council persons right now is female. 2 is not going to do it. We should have changed this when I first put it in 30 years ago. I went before the county council. 25 years ago, I went before the county council. 20 years ago, I went before the county council.
Okay.
That was when we should have done it. Now that we waited all this extra time, 2 is not enough. We need to have 4.
You can campaign for 4 more and see how that goes. But I'm just saying, don't say that. I think we can automatically get 2 more councilmen. I don't think that's an issue. And if we can, at this point, as a part of this agreement, get that, I think that's a viable thing. But the other thing is, I really would like to make a motion that we vote on whether we want to be part of this coalition for fair maps in Baltimore County.
Can I say this before we vote on the motion? And what I wanted to say is that with Senator Kelly is exactly right. The developers do play a really big role. That's why a lot of times we have to be proactive as reactive, as opposed to reactive when a lot of things go on in the county. And in addition to that, what Danny stated, I hear what you're saying, and George, but there are a lot of us out there, whether we're doing it personally or through other local organizations. These councilmen and women, they know what our stance is. They know how we feel. They know what we want. And I think it still goes back to how they feel with the developers. We even been at the hearings. We have spoke different Black organizations as well as the other organizations we've spoken, and they know how we feel. So now I don't know how it is, and we can ask the chair or anyone else who wants to respond, how this would go is if we come as a collective group as the central committee. But there are several of us on the central committee who are already doing this. I don't know if it has to do with anything politically, by saying, because I know that when several of us get up there to speak, we come under the auspice of either ourselves or other 501c programs, something that's not political, attached to the political environment. So I don't know if that's an issue, but
Yes, let me just.
okay.
So that is going to be one of the challenges that I foresee.
Yeah.
We are a partisan organization. And just from me knowing how someone can lose their 501c3 status if something they're doing turns political. So I would hate to jeopardize an organization by us attaching the central committee to it.
Mhm.
What? I don't understand. I don't understand this. The League of Women Voters is a 501c, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And they're signed on for it.
But it's not a political, like we're the Democratic Party.
It's not we are the Democratic Party. We are representing the Democratic Party.
It's not so much political, it's partisan.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, partisan, the Democratic Party.
It should be partisan.
So the one thing that I would ask, because there are lots,
Senator Kelly, what are you thinking?
who's the head of this? Who's leading the coalition?
It's Allies for Democracy is basically leading
No,
Are
it's
they a
not.
registered 501c3 organization?
it. No,
No.
they're just a group of people that
No.
mostly live in like the
Anybody who wants to be a part of it.
Cockeysville area.
I can't hear two
Oh.
people. Go ahead. Sean.
Allies for Democracy is a group of people that mostly live in northern central Baltimore County.
So it's not a registered nonprofit organization.
I mean, there are, like League of Women Voters that signed on to it, but they're not the ones that are leading it.
I'm asking, is the body that is sponsoring this a nonprofit? And you're saying
No, it's not.
No, it's just a coalition. It's not an organization even. It's just a bunch of, the Randallstown and then NAACP, the Baltimore County, I mean, ACLU, they're all a part of the coalition and people there,
That's
we
fine.
communicate with
And
each other.
what Crystal was asking though was,
That's fine.
Yeah,
Who
but
is
what I'm
running-
saying is, the reason why I'm asking that question is because to me, it seems as, is this a nonpartisan group?
yes,
Yes,
Okay, so then that is going to answer the question. If this is a nonpartisan activity, the Democratic Party will make it partisan, which I don't think is going to be to the detriment.
that's not
But
true.
what I'm saying is it's going to be best for individuals to sign up instead of the Democratic Party signing up.
You can do that too.
It's gonna
But that's what we've been
turn
doing.
partisan to partisan, because
Yes.
the media is gonna say, look,
No way.
you know what I mean? And we gotta look at it from that angle. That's just my opinion. I mean, there are other. people
If I may interject, I think that's a valid concern.
Yes.
But maybe we could ask the League of Women Voters, because they're the ones with their reputation on the line as a very prominent nonpartisan group. They may say, please don't.
Yes, I know, because a lot of, so I belong to the Maryland Alliance for Justice Reform. We get a lot of times partisan, we have to tell them no, because it can ruin the 501c3 status.
The
It's
progressive Democrats are a part of it. And they're a part.
No, well, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the Democratic Party. We,
The
as
Democratic Party.
people, are the Democratic Party. Us signing on to a nonpartisan coalition can damage the reputation because
Not at all.
it's nonpartisan. So what I'm saying is, instead of it saying the Democrat, I mean, we can take our approach, but we don't need to be listed on their flyer as like a
Could we seek guidance from the council for from the Maryland Democratic Party?
Yeah,
How we could do it? I think for us
right.
to have our mouths shut, considering democratic values are very important. That's really what you're fighting for.
No, right, and what,
To seek
Yeah.
guidance from council as to how to do it, rather than say there's nothing we can do.
no, I'm not saying
I'm
there's
not saying
there's
nothing
nothing
we
we
can do. What I'm saying is,
Can I make-
let me finish my thought real quick. What I'm saying, just like, okay, let me just use the example of what happened the first time. So when the council had their maps out, right, and we found out that the ACLU and the NAACP were doing their thing, we as the Democratic Party sent it out to kind of like mobilize, rally the troops, so to speak. We put our name behind, we didn't sign on as a sponsor, but because we took the onus to blast it out to people who jumped on the bandwagon, which is one of the reasons why they went ahead and pulled back and said, well, we're gonna, because at first they were like, we're not looking at the maps. I sent that email out, I don't know how many phone calls I got from the chair, but I said, look, I gotta do the right thing. And if people from the Central Committee are asking me to share it, I'm gonna share it. And so it caused it to go back. They were told they're gonna go back to the drawing board. I think, but we didn't have our logo appended so that somebody can say, look at the Democrats trying to say, you know, you're trying to turn it partisan, even though most of us are Democrats, I understand it. So what I'm saying is, let's look at it in a different limelight, where we use our support and force, but without.
I'm just asking if before we do, if we could get an opinion from council to the Maryland Democratic Party. as
Yes, we can do that.
We can best have our democratic values reflected and people know we're not just doing nothing.
Yes.
No, yes, definitely.
How?
Sure. But in the meanwhile, there are certain things
But
that
in
we
the,
can
yeah,
do.
but in the meanwhile,
For example, there are certain things I do through the League of Women Voters.
right,
I'm a member of the league because there are things I want to do that I can't do through here.
right, and the same
There
thing
are
with me.
things I can
go
do
through
in
Delta.
NAACP or National Council of Negro Women. We all belong through various organizations, and those organizations can certainly sign on as partners, and they won't be partisan. It's not because it's political, that's not it at all. It's because it's partisan that it may actually
Yeah.
defeat some of those other groups.
And
And
Senator Kelly, you know, that's the
So
same
my
thing.
concern is, I want us to support, but I want us to not do it to the detriment of somebody's 501c3 status.
So I signed
That's why
on,
I'm suggesting we get,
I signed on
counsel
with
from
my name and my address, and I'm in County Council District 3, which is Wade Koch, and we don't have a lot of people in our organization who are in that. There's nobody stopping anybody on the central committee signing on, you know,
Exactly.
and saying, this is my address and this is the district I live in, you know, in the meantime, while we wait for a ruling about, you know, how we should handle this. And I think, you know, when Wade Koch, you know, he calls me, he knows me, I just felt like my presence, my signature in there was stronger as a, you know, a member of his district than it was as a central committee member.
And also want to mention real quick
Hold on,
that
Cheryl.
a lot of us are members
Hello,
of,
hello, Cheryl, hold on.
Hold on, Cheryl.
Ann, what's the deadline?
pardon me,
What is the deadline for the signing on?
there's no deadline. I mean, this is all gonna be over within a month or two, because, you know, there's going to be evidently, I think, I'm not sure of the date. November-
November the
Are you
30th is the
talking
meeting.
about the thing that Sonia Shaw is circulating?
yes, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yes, Sonia
Okay.
Shaw, but it's not just Sonia, it's a number of people.
It's a lot of people telling me.
Yeah, it's,
But I will tell you, here's the
not-
only thing. They ask you on that, do you mind if we actually use your name? I noticed that they're only using some people's names, not everyone's name.
if they,
Why is
no,
that?
they will ask unless you said not to use their name, because I looked, and I'm
Some people
surprised,
have told
excuse
me-
me, I'm
some
talking,
people have
Linda.
told me that
Linda,
they-
can I finish?
Go ahead.
There are, when I look at the list, I see very few central committee people's names. Now, maybe
You
some
see
of
my
you,
name? You're supposed to.
no, I didn't.
See? That's
And I
one-
signed up, you didn't see my name either, right?
I saw
So-
you, Danielle.
Did you say, okay, good. So, because I signed in under the auspice of Black Women for Positive Change. And so this is it. The same thing we do with our sororities and fraternities. If you go speak, you have to speak personally. If we go there, we go with red or white on. We can't speak for the office itself. You have to speak under the auspice of something else or yourself because of the political affiliation. And it does really make a difference. Even with our national organizations, you have to do the same thing. We would even call another group something else, especially if you're getting donations from others.
I signed as a member of the Central Democratic Committee of Baltimore County.
Right, but that's different as the Democratic Party.
It's, we're not,
We represent all Democrats, including the elected. So I will reach out to the MVP for guidance on how we can support without violating anything.
the issue, there are three asks here. One is fair maps that represent the will of the people, okay? There are three, if you go to that bit.ly thing, it tells what our three asks are. Fair maps, transparency, and that they publish what they have, you know, that we see what they have. I'm not sure that was a unanimous, not vote on that bill, but it was submitted by the entire council. I know for a fact that they didn't all see the whole thing. It was I think it was in the works right before the meeting because it didn't drop until the last 15 minutes. And I contacted two central, what do you call it, council people this week, this morning, and they couldn't even send me a copy of it.
They redrew the maps.
They couldn't.
They redrew the maps.
Yeah, they
It was already in the works.
No,
They
they-
did redraw.
yeah,
I
they
haven't
redraw
seen it, but I
And
talked to the
it's
chair.
gonna be what they drew. That's it.
Who's
And
talking?
they're not taking
They're not gonna take any other maps, the maps that were put out there by the WACP, the ACLU, other folks. What I believe and what I know is that the county council has redrawn their own maps. They didn't use the maps that the commission gave, but they drew their own maps. This is what I believe. They drew their own maps and they're gonna present that and they're gonna vote on it. And I think it's gonna be November 30th at their next meeting.
No, December.
December.
When is it?
There's a December 4th meeting also.
Right, I think that's, we
Yeah,
discussed it.
the
and then
next-
they vote.
and that's when they're gonna vote.
Do you really think that they all sat around and drew the maps, or one person or two people, two of them sat around?
What I do know is that they all agreed to whatever it is that they have, and they're gonna present to the people. I know
Yeah,
that.
and
Whatever
the
the
planning
governor's office
department worked
sent
for them.
Yeah, it's already, it's already,
Well, my question is
Done.
why, when I talked to Councilman Patoka on Friday, he said he didn't know what was going on. He had nothing to do with it. Catch didn't know what was going on. We thought Catch.
you know better than that. You know better than that, and you know better than that.
That means he didn't want to tell you.
That means he didn't go to any of the meetings, and he was on a couple.
Madam
There are two
Chair,
hands up, there are two hands up.
Madam
No.
Chair,
I'm sorry, yes.
You had Mark Weaver, his hand was up way before.
Wait, who had, I'm
Well-
sorry, I can't see George, help me out
Yeah,
here.
Mark Weaver, he was,
Go ahead, Mark, and then.
your hand was up? Your hand's not up?
Well, it was up and
up.
down.
Oh,
I'm
I beg your pardon.
okay. I didn't want to say too much. So go ahead, Liz.
You're on mute now, I'm mute. You're on mute.
I've only been up since, I've been up a little too early today, but no, Mark, seriously, you should go if you didn't have a chance. I didn't mean to.
No, it's really okay. It's okay.
Okay, we'll spend the rest of the night going, no, you go, no, you go. No, I just, I do share Crystal's concerns, about the actual Democratic Party joining up in a kind of a coalition of this kind for many of the reasons that Crystal was saying. It doesn't really, I understand her concerns, but I do think that I imagine as a group, we all feel very strongly about fair maps. And I think we should continue to amplify the message and continue to send out news to the Democrats that live in this county that are on our mailing lists, and continue to amplify through our social media and to encourage, Democrats to get involved. We could certainly point to the Fair Maps Coalition and to other groups, whether it's NAACP of Randallstown or of Baltimore County or whatever. I think there's a lot we can be, I think we can, certainly be activists about this and support all the efforts that are going on by nonpartisan groups and the grassroots. There's, it's kind of like Senator Kelly is saying, we don't want to just not do anything. And so continue, especially the communications committee, continue or step up the amplification of this important issue.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Who else had their hand up?
let's see. Yeah, Charles,
I know Senator-
Cheryl was next.
I know you don't have your hand up, but I know you're also involved with, the redistricting. Did you have anything or any insight or advice?
Is that for me?
Yes, Senator.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. But first of all, I wanted to say thank you to all of you that I've seen amplifying this message on social media, all of you who've come to the meetings as well as the press conference. From what I've heard, I'm in agreement with everyone. This is, I don't think you let this be over. If this was, the reality is, if this were Republicans doing this, we wouldn't sit down and take this. And this is our own Democratic Party doing this to us. As I made mention earlier, these maps are worse than the ones that we had an issue with before. I mean, so what is not being heard in all of this is the illegality of packing this Black community on the west side of Baltimore County in the District 4. I was on a meeting earlier tonight and I was challenged by my councilman as to what communities needed to be divided in order for us to be satisfied. And what I pointed out to him was that there are communities like Woodlawn that are divided between council people, but no one's saying anything about that. There are communities along the Liberty Road corridor that are divided between District 4 and District 2. No one's saying anything about that. Now why? I mean, ultimately, what's going on and what should be happening are those Black communities that are close to those districts could easily be drawn into either 1 or either District 2. And I think we're going to have to continue reaching out to our council people to ensure that they don't vote for this map. If we can't get 5 members to vote for something that's going to be fair, we're going to at least have to get 3 who are going to vote against this bad map. So I'll leave it at that. My fight's not over.
Cheryl.
My understanding is that all they had to do from the original map was just move part of Woodlawn over so that all of Woodlawn was in the same district, and it would have met the demands of the ACLU. So I don't know why they're making this so difficult, but that was not why my hand was up. So I would be surprised if any one of us is involved with less than 5 organizations in this county. We're all involved with at least 5. And so I, in my personal case, I identify more with, Indivisible Towson, but they already had a strong showing on the coalition list. So I signed up under Together We Will, which I'm also, on the steering committee of, specifically so that we would have a larger coalition and more diversity of groups on that list. So I would encourage people, if you're not signed up yet, to look at the organizations that are already on there and to sign up under something that's not listed, because then it looks like we have a lot more force behind us. Everybody's got multiple options. I know we do.
Yeah, we do. They all know, it's just like they know our positions. I mean, they all know our position. They really truly do. It's just a matter of them having the courage to do what's right, or having the support of. You need the vote.
Even if you know that this is the way I see it. Even if you know that you can't win, at least take the right position. If you know that the outcome's going to be against what you said, what you really want it to be, don't just acquiesce and say, well, I'm going to vote with the group, even though I don't believe in their position. Stand up and let your constituents in your community that you're supposed to be representing, let them know that you still stand behind them.
That's true. And that's the thing that Julian had done in the past with the source of income, with the, police reform bill. All of those things were the right thing to do, whether you buy yourself or not.
And we
it's the right thing to do. Then we supported it, and
but
look
let
what
me just
happened.
chime in, because you made a great point. That was an example of how we didn't necessarily sign on, but we pushed it from our angle.
That's right.
And it helped. So, I'm still gonna send up the communication to MVP so that we make sure.
You gotta always do what's
we do it right. But this
thing.
is one of the things that I was envisioning as I'm hearing all of this. For definitely for Baltimore County, we definitely need to, make sure that our voice is heard.
If I could just butt in, there's one more thing to remember, that the current law about redistricting of the council is tied to the members of the school board, and the school board is not functioning very well in its current form. We got to look at all of that. Our kids need us to stand up for them.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
And not just school board, there's a whole bunch of other boards and commissions appointments too.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
The school board.
So I just want to ask, party building chair here. Liz, do you think maybe we could phone bank around this? Do you think that's something that we could probably?
Phone
Why
bank
are you phone
around
banking?
the,
To let people know about this Fair Met Coalition and.
yeah, if you want to organize something, we could certainly do that. I mean, Thanksgiving is coming up. And, you know, and I know people are going to be out of town, but yeah, absolutely. We could certainly try.
With
I've been dying to have a phone bank at the Allegheny.
We don't need phone banking.
Maybe, I mean, or maybe we do it from our perspective. Yeah, we'll figure out a way to do it. Right?
Yeah.
Can I tell you,
At least we can lead that part. So, go
phone
ahead.
banking is not something we need. What we need is people to testify to like, and have their piece.
That's what I'm saying. We're phone banking to get people to rally, because it's just how many people on the central committee. I'm trying to, we
So-
can recruit out to the
Right.
beyond what's in this room.
What I'm asking is this, and others that sound like they're very supportive of this. What happens if it doesn't work? What's the backup plan? I believe that everybody should have two plans. They should be
Have a
running.
backup plan, go to court, but that's not a very viable option, I think. Not, do something now. Go in and meet.
Oh, no, I'm not saying don't do both,
So,
but be prepared.
let's get maybe 5 people from the central committee and we'll meet and we'll figure out how we can really do this the best way. That we can amplify what we want to say, how we can reach other people, how we can bring them in to testify. And maybe continue this discussion someplace else in those, you know.
All you need to do is sign up. Sign up to testify. You don't need to meet, okay? You just need to sign up to testify at one of the, whatever the next opportunity.
About how the central committee could do more.
Well, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
But
That's
everyone
why I
can send the
said we
link.
need to just ask legal counsel of the Maryland Democratic Party what options we do have that won't impact the party legally.
Okay.
Party
They've
problem.
got legal counsel, why don't we seek their help?
I'm
And meanwhile,
asking for
everyone
help.
can send out information to the organizations, the churches, family and friends, send the link to them, call them, email or text them, and let them know, sign up for this, and give them a brief synopsis of why and what it's about. I mean, it's just like with anything, word of mouth, when you tell your family, your friends, the church, your organizations, but we've already done that. And there are a lot of people doing that and sending in mails, sending in their hearings. I know a lot of people have already done it. So that's one way we can reach people right away while we're waiting for the report or the response from the Democratic Party.
I wouldn't even worry about, if you don't want to sign with the Democratic Party, I think that's a minor thing. Each individual I'm asking you to do is, one, write a letter to your council person, write to all of them, but particularly to your own. Remind them that it's not just about constituent services. They think that that's, if they're doing constituent services, and some of them aren't even doing that, but that we need leadership.
So,
leadership-
and I hear your passion. I hear your passion and all. And I think what it is a lot of that is being done and has been done.
We've already
I
done
think
that.
your response to what you're
Get that
hearing. I think your response, what you're hearing, you're not satisfied with the response that you're getting from some of the council members, but that's because that's just their stance. There are a lot of people who have already come to hearings, who have written letters, and who have called.
And testify.
About this issue.
Testify
Yes.
about this
Exactly.
issue.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
we've been doing this for a while. We've been doing this for a while,
One
Ann.
at a time.
I'm talking about within the last few weeks since this map thing has come up.
Yes,
Yes.
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 And the time the Met went back.
Yeah.
Because
We're
of
at all the
Yeah.
hearings and meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not
Right.
necessarily
That's-
living in our community, so you aren't aware of all that's going on.
Right.
Well, I'm going to be in your community tomorrow night.
All right.
George Scott's thing, and I want everybody to go to George Scott's fundraiser.
Move on. So I
Scott.
am, to clarify, yes, I'm going to be sending your communication out to the attorney so we can
Yeah,
understand what
sure.
our
sure.
boundaries are.
But, you know, the real bottom line of it all is votes on the council.
That's really the bottom line.
Yep.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
the
and I-
votes on the council.
And I've
And
I've had several communications with, the chairman who lets
So have
me
I.
know that he
Same
he
here.
don't have the votes. That's what he
That-
said.
that-
I don't have
Exactly.
the votes.
and that's what I'm
This is
saying,
what he
and
said. So,
it's all about the bottom line that comes to the votes on the council.
Yeah, not just 3 or 4 or 5 conversations, many more than that.
Yes, we had several.
but
And
I
we
mean,
keep reminding them.
We weren't able, I'm telling you, the communication that we sent out worked because
Got called.
It's lasted.
he sent it back. So that's what we did. It did work. So we just.
They're
have
not
to keep-
using they're not, definitely
holding
not
it
using the
accountable.
maps from the commission.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So we'll say.
But-
that.
There is another map that has been drawn.
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet.
They say it's still a violation.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
So, so about the other map that I have not seen, I was told today that they took,
Mhm.
they spread the minority population out beyond the one district. I don't know which districts those are. But I can try to see if I can get more information. I'm sure that the map is gonna have to go public at some point. I'm not sure how long,
But
but,
I'm gonna have it. I can
You
share
have
it.
it?
I have it. I can share it.
so we'll share it out.
All right, I'm
for
gonna
those
share it
who
in
didn't-
chat right now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. But yes, we're definitely gonna, continue to push on the subject.
Even at the big factors, if we're 47% of the population and all they want to give up is one district, and minorities consist of, like Linda just said earlier, the BGT, excuse me, community, you guys screwed up the letters. Asians, Latinos, women, all of those people are minorities. So if you can't get more than one district out of that whole group of what a minority actually is, that in itself is a tall tale sign of how they are blatantly looking at things, especially if you have 40% of the community, like at that number, and they want to only give you one district. So I just need y'all to dig down in your gut and look at what's really happening, what's really going on.
Okay, but we're gonna end, so we've gotten through that, so we're gonna move on, it's getting late.
It's about incumbency. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of it's about incumbency.
Okay.
We're moving up.
Agree with that.
I
Okay,
agree with that.
the map is in the link for those of you who've not seen it, I mean, it's in the chat.
So that's.
There is, the map is in the chat and the link to sign up for fair maps, okay? And
Yes, it
also
is.
has, when you go to sign up, it tells there's flyers you can print out, there's ways that you can spread the news, there's all ways that you can amplify it. So visit those links that I've put in the chat, please.
Thank you. All righty, so we're gonna move on here, and I will get back in response in the email on what MVP says to me. I'll try to get a response by tomorrow. I'll do my best to get that response. So, Jason's not here, but we already provided the update on the fundraising that we did secure the space for the Unity Center to take place in person on 9/22/22. We selected that date on purpose with some pun intended. Communications, I know there's not too much to
Oh,
report,
yeah.
but go ahead, George.
Let's see, not too much.
Oh, this is not my finest hour.
Right, and-
Late night,
Yes.
anyway. And again, good evening. You guys have heard already, communications, we have been pushing out all of the information that we get from everybody, everyone, especially the chair. They push stuff to us, then they push stuff to us, and it goes out. We've been blasting, and I think as the chair said, because of the way that we emphasize or pushed out information, people actually turned out. So I think we do a good impact just on the things that we do. Okay, so not to just stay on that, but we have been doing a lot in the communication. Again, just keep all the information coming because things are happening so fast that we can't keep up. So all we can do is get the emails and they go. You tend to pay more attention to the secretary and your boss emails that come through. So if you guys want something to go out, get it to Crystal and Linda. And if they get to us, if we get that. Samay's not here, Jeff is not here, Danny's here as well, he's part of the communication. What we something different that we haven't talked about. We come out with a newsletter once a month. But being that everything's been really coming out, we kind of talked about just saving our newsletter that comes out once a month and come up with one towards the end of December. And we want to call it like a recap of just what's going on.
Yeah, we always did that. We always did an annual recap.
The random recap, because that way, you kind of put something in your hand that you can read. Okay. Most of us are high-tech folks. We read stuff online, sun paper ads, links, and all that. But every now and then, a good old newsletter that you can kind of read and pass on, take copies to your churches and things like that. I enjoy what we are doing here. We're having hybrid meetings, and that's the way it's going to be for a while. Okay, so those that are home, you don't have to come in. You can stay at home, you can come in, but we're trying to, so when things do open up, we won't be behind the 8 ball. We'll be well linked into the tech that we can kind of keep things moving. Okay. But anyway, that's it for me.
Thank you, George.
Okay, right.
Liz, did you have anything for party building?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot with the election behind us. It's time to turn to voter registration and, outreach to newly registered voters and all those kinds of things. It's just been really hard with so many hearings and meetings going on, but I do anticipate a party building committee meeting the week after Thanksgiving when I get back from out of town. Hopefully I can find a night that will not clash with another hearing or something, and so we can get going on those things. But yeah, not a whole lot of details to report.
Okay.
I have a party building.
Yes.
Okay, so the League of Women Voters, I don't know if people are aware, but on a weekly basis, hundreds of people are made new American citizens. And that takes place in Southwest Baltimore County at a federal installation that is over there. And on almost a daily basis, certainly 3 days a week, they have multiple sessions in which they are swearing in individuals as new citizens. Each one of those sessions has anywhere from 35 to 50 people, and they have multiple ones during the day. So tomorrow, I'm going to be going with the league over to one of those swearing in ceremonies, and we're going to be registering brand new Americans as voters. And each one of those sessions, which are only last like 10 minutes apiece, 35 more people are going to come out. 35 more people will come out, and another 30. There's 2 different types of sessions that are held there. People that are being sworn in as new citizens, and also people who have, in some cases, chosen to change their names. And that's a large number of people. Now, one of the things that they've shared with me is that they don't have enough people for all of this. They used to do it on a regular basis. Now there are so many people coming through as new citizens that they're actually looking around for other groups. So I'm getting the information and how that process works. And we can't do this as a partisan group. This is one of those examples where if we supported them, we cannot show up as the Baltimore Democratic Party. Okay, Baltimore County Democratic Party. But if we belong to other groups that are nonpartisan, they need some of those other groups that we as Central Committee members are part of to step up and say, we'll be responsible for Thursday. Third Thursday of the month. Somebody else will be responsible for the second Wednesday of the month. And you're there for all of those swearing in ceremonies on that day. So I'll be able to give you a little more information about it after tomorrow, because they've changed the way they're doing it now. They used to do it all indoors. Now everything is outdoors. They don't even allow people's family members to go into the swearing in ceremony with them anymore. Just the person being sworn in. Then they come out on the parking lot, and that's where we can engage them about, filling out voter registrations and so forth. So please let me know if you have a group that might be interested in taking on that responsibility. It might be the seniors. It might be some other group that wants to step up and say, we'll be responsible for at least 1 or 2 days to not only greet our brand new citizens as they come out of the door, but also give them right away the opportunity to become American voters.
Linda, they used to do that down in Huffman Plaza, down at the federal
Yes.
building. They used to go down there a lot and help a couple friends out when they did that.
Right.
And I mean, that place was jam packed
Yeah.
all the time. So they're not doing it in Huffman
No,
Plaza
now
anymore?
they do it at a facility that's down in Arbutus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
If people know where the Kaiser Permanente Medical Center is in that area, it's about maybe 6 or 7 blocks from there.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Well, we've gotten through the agenda.
Amen.
57. I was trying to get us out at 8 o'clock, but sorry. So now that we've gone through that, would you like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Danny. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
George White is raising his hand. It's a second. All those in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Say nay. All right, the ayes have it.
Did anyone come in?
And yes, so if you did not participate in attendance, please let us know. Eric Washington is on. We have Mark, Senator Sidnor is present already.
Thank you.
Scott Palooka.
Scott came, oh no, Scott Palooka is out today.
And what
Scott
about,
Sokol came in.
Present.
Although, look, he's here.
But that's who you missing.
what about Renee Guerrero?
No Renee Morella.
What about Nina? Jimmy Talisi,
No,
Pat Kelly,
no,
Vanessa Carrington,
no,
Bob Benjamin.
no.
Let's see.
No.
No.
Crystal, you can stop recording. Yes.
And Sam A,
No,
Mark Brewster,
no,